39 years, our family have lived in this house.
Stepping out of our comfort zone can feel like standing at the edge of a cliff, heart pounding, unsure if the ground will catch us, but deep down we often know when the change is right, even if it's hard, even if it scares us. Whether it's leaving behind a safe routine, moving somewhere new, or choosing a path that no one else understands, these bold choices can lead to the most fulfilling chapters of our lives. Growth doesn't come from staying still, it comes from trusting that this comfort of change is just the beginning of something far better. But you're probably thinking, if we're completely lost our minds, how do you actually quit your jobs and move 3 kids to a country where you barely speak obrigado? Well, we haven't got all the answers yet. But one thing we know, we have set our minds to go on this adventure and we'll overcome any challenges to make it happen.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine.
So, Philippa, when did you consider moving?
Leaving England has always been a consideration in my mind, I think. I never came here with a view to stay permanently. I was coming for a few months, learn the language, and then I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I've always known I wasn't going to go back to Portugal, ironically, because I know how hard life can be in Portugal. I think that's since having children, I've definitely known that I didn't want to be here, and having lived in Singapore specifically and spent some time in Southeast Asia, I always wanted to go back there. So we had conversations for a few years about going to Southeast Asia, and Matt did come a couple of times. I think I was hoping that he would fall in love with it as much as I love it and want to come over there. But despite threatening to divorce him, I still didn't manage to convince him to move to Southeast Asia. So, oh hey, Portugal it is. No, but jokes aside, we've always talked about moving to Portugal at retirement age. I think that until meeting Matt, I didn't really think I would be moving back to Portugal. And then since meeting him, I realised that was a big possibility at retirement. Now, I started feeling like I wasn't prepared to wait until retirement. Our children will be grown up by the time we retire, so it would be unlikely for them to want to come with us, and I don't want to be away from my children if I can avoid it. I appreciate that once they grow up, they might want to go elsewhere, and that'll happen, but I didn't want to be the one moving away, if that makes sense. I think I would struggle. After talking for a long time and putting some numbers together, we've realised that actually, if we just manage to live a simpler life with a lot less, we'll be able to afford to make this move a lot sooner than retirement age. What were the driving factors that finally made you decide to move?
So I think one of the main factors was probably more reflecting on my childhood. It's not been a secret from us as a family on our channel that we actually want to move to the countryside with the children to have some more space. But for me, I actually did grow up in the countryside. My father was a dairyman on a local farm. We had lots of space to run around in, lots of animals, lots of good, wholesome times, and I didn't appreciate that much as a child, I don't think. And then it's only now when we have our own children that you look back and think, actually, that was a really awesome upbringing, and I'm very thankful to my parents for that. We didn't have lots of money, but we were happy. We felt very safe, and We had a very varied lifestyle, which was lovely. And like we mentioned in one of our previous videos, that was one of the main driving forces, was to move out to the country. The costs associated with that, with more borrowing because it's more expensive to live there, and the fact that that would keep me in my current job forever, was one of the blockers really, and that was one of the things that really put us off. I mentioned previously around safety. Growing up in the countryside for me was extremely safe. Although I think anyone that grew up in the 80s, we were allowed to do what we liked, and there was no risks back then, but obviously there were, and there's a lot more risks that we see these days. And the area that we live in does seem to have a few problems with regards to crime and just not nice things in the news. And our kids are the age now where they're going to become more independent, and we didn't want them to be necessarily be exposed to that. Portugal has an extremely good crime record, right?
Yeah, very much.
I think it's like one of the best in Europe, or even if not the world. And we started looking at some of the statistics around per thousand crime events per thousand people, and actually the most crime-ridden area in Portugal was actually still better than the best place in England, which was a bit of an eye-opener really. So we're not even looking to move to one of the capital cities or a main city within Portugal. Another thing, which again I mentioned in our previous video, with I suppose us growing older, you question your mortality a lot more. I have a health issue which I've previously mentioned, and one which sadly took my brother in 2021. So we thought to ourselves, why not no time like the present, let's just make our move now. Let's not wait for tomorrow, the next day after that, because there's no guarantee with that. Another thing we, I suppose, are all born into is the fact that we want to progress in our careers, earn more money, which means we can spend more money. We're kind of thinking to go the other way, earn less, spend less, and have more time. This move to Portugal financially, from a house buying point of view, makes sense because we know there are opportunities in Portugal to get a property which is a lot cheaper than they would be in England, with a lot more space. And I think that space is one of the most important things to us. We live in a residential home. We are limited with the space, and with 3 children that are kind of vying for attention, want their own space, etc. It does cause problems with their behaviour, and we want to make sure they have space to run around. And as an example, actually, yesterday we were at my parents' house, and they have a bit of space to run around with the kids, and it was lovely just to watch the children run around. They entertained themselves for about 3 hours because they had that space to run around, and they were just more happy, and we could see that in them rather than all being on top of each other. So that's a massive thing for us, and Portugal will give us that. Touch wood. And let's not forget the main thing. Portugal's hot. The weather's lovely. I know they've had a lot of rain this year, but depending on the area you live in, I think they have 300 dry days a year. We haven't got a plan all the way through, for the next 5 years. We don't have that plan. There's 101 reasons why we shouldn't do this move, but there are a lot more reasons why we should. And I think our approach, and I think our vision is, life is too short. Let's just go for it now, because we're not guaranteed a future. We can't be planning for something in 10, 15 years time that we may not even be a part of. So let's embrace it now. People probably think we're crazy to do this. From my point of view, I don't think we're crazy to do this. And from all the people that we've actually told, work colleagues, friends, family, etc., they really do get it. They understand the drivers behind why we want to do this, and they've been so supportive. A lot of people have said, I wish I could do that. I wish I'd be brave enough to do that. And I think anyone can be brave enough to do that. But for us, it's hopefully going to be a great decision, and we're 100% invested in making it work out. Sell everything in our house, and we're going to be keeping the bare minimum, anything we kind of have a connection with. We have our van, which isn't a camper van, but we are making it camping friendly. We want to make sure it is fit to pull over on the side of the road in an emergency if we need to to do that, don't we? Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be safe to pull up with, yeah.
On the side of the road. It should be. We have another video coming out, so stay tuned to that one where we talk about more focus on the van and what we're actually doing with it to make it Europe travel friendly.
And what we're taking with us, yeah.
And what we're taking,
we'll
yeah.
show you everything.
Exactly that.
So the plan is to leave the UK towards the end of August. We're going to be travelling around the north of Europe. Well, I wouldn't call it the north of Europe, like France, Belgium, Holland, for 3 weeks before we make our way to Disneyland. That's already booked. Once that's done...
So that Disneyland trip was a gift that we got the kids at Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah. But again, trying to avoid offering physical things where we're trying to be minimalist and have as little as possible. We've been, just for a few years now, we've been offering activities and days out and things like that to our children.
Yeah, like memories, things that they're always going to remember, right?
Yeah,
rather
more
than
physical items, yeah.
Because I do this thing every year when I say to my children, what did you have last year for Christmas? Name me 3 things you had last year for Christmas as a present. And it's a struggle. They struggle to remember.
And often they remember the £1 toy.
Let us know if your children are the same. I'm not sure if it's a sign of the times, but yeah, leave some comments in the box if you have the same issue where kids don't maybe have as emotional attachment to things these days like they used to.
No.
Anyway, we digress.
Definitely not. Yes. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, we were finishing Disneyland, and hopefully we will all be having a great time traveling by then, and we'll be keen to make our way south through France, more than Germany, go through Switzerland, Austria and Italy. So we kind of have our mindset on those. I would, if we're really enjoying ourselves, I'm gonna press on going down to Greece, so through Croatia, Montenegro, and then we've got a lovely cousin in the south of France where we would stop for a few days before heading off to Portugal. So we're looking at a couple of months, but the world is our oyster at the moment. It could be 3 weeks if we're having a horrendous time with the children. It could be 3 months. It could be 4 months. It's going to start getting cold. So
I think that's...
I know you're not keen. Just keep it to yourself.
I'm not to mention. I am keen. I can't wait for this trip. I think one thing which is different for my mindset to Philippa's grown up in an environment where if you drive for 20 hours to get to a destination, she would make that journey as part of her trip. So they would stop somewhere, they would stop here, they would stop there. They may take 2 or 3 days to get to that destination. I don't know whether it's an English thing.
Yeah, it is.
We like to say, right, I've got to get from A to B. Let's get there as quick as we possibly can. So when we decided the Portugal move, in my head, I was like, okay, it's about a 25-hour drive. Okay, maybe 1 or 2 stops, 2 night stops, and we'll just make a beeline there. And then Philippa introduced the idea of how about we just, whilst we have the opportunity, travel around. Took me a while to get on board with that, but it makes complete sense. I'm probably a little bit more apprehensive. It was just myself and Philippa, and we were at our, you know, what's the word? Could travel at our leisure with no concerns and our own safety to only worry about. Then it makes things a lot more comfortable for me. Our children can't sometimes get 20 minutes the car without 5 minutes without annoying each other.
Yeah.
So the thought of sleeping in close proximity, we've spoken about space, the thought about sleeping in close proximity on a trip is a different ballgame.
It's going to be lovely.
It will be lovely, and I'm hoping that they will embrace it as well. I think they will, because they're going to be experiencing lots of new things.
I think that we're all experiencing stress, and the children are probably experiencing stress through school, but also through us, because they can feel our stress. And I think that once we start traveling, that's going to go away, and that's going to make everyone a lot more relaxed, and we're going to have more time for each other as well, which means that there's going to be a lot of the fighting with the children is for time and attention. So I think that those problems are going to go away as soon as we leave, and it's it's going to be absolutely fine. But only time will tell. So if you're wondering about education, because we're going to be leaving at the end of August and school starts early September, we're going to be deregistering the children from school. So we're going to be home educating until we've settled down in Portugal. So that's the plan at the moment.
Home educating or van educating?
Van educating,
Yeah.
world educating, definitely not home educating. Well, you know, our van's going to be our home.
Yeah.
I quite like the term van educating.
It also sounds like a bit,
Vegucated.
it sounds like a medical term. Van educated. Oh, you said a van education last week. Oh no. Yeah.
So yes, that's the plan. We're going to focus on the Portuguese language a lot, alongside maths and literature. And the kids are going to learn loads from their experiences in each country. So all social aspects and history, geography.
Food.
Yeah.
Cultures. There's a lot for them to learn, and I think that life experience will be more valuable on the road.
Yeah, so once we've had enough and are fed up of travelling, which I'm sure is going to happen eventually, we'll make our way over to Portugal. At the moment, we're thinking of potentially renting a house in different places in Portugal so that we can truly experience each different area. Everyone's very welcoming and lovely in Portugal, so I've no doubt that we're going to be well received no matter where we go. There's an animal on top of our summer house. We might find a home as soon as we get there and fall in love with it and move in within a month of arriving in Portugal. We might take 6 months within arriving in Portugal, and I think this is the beauty of it, that we don't have to rush. We don't want to rush. This hopefully will be our forever home, so we don't want to rush into it. We'll probably stay 2 weeks here and there with family, as well as maybe renting a house.
And we also have the van still. So we can always just go off for a week at a time.
One thing we know is that, like Matt mentioned, we want lots of outdoor space. We're keen to grow as much of our food as we can, raise our own animals, so as few and little trips to the supermarket as possible. I'd love to reduce on our waste, reduce on the pre-packaged unhealthy foods that you can find in the supermarkets. And it's actually interesting, I found out recently, I can't remember what the figures were exactly, but the percentage of processed foods that are purchased in England are the highest in Europe, and in Portugal are the lowest in Europe. So I think being there is going to be a huge influencer for reducing on those things.
Yeah.
And we want to keep our bills as minimal as possible. If we can have solar panels and provide some of our own electricity, great. We're not looking to go off grid.
No.
I think that would be pushing it a bit too far for our own knowledge and for our own sanity. But who knows? It could be something that we can look into in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to start with.
I think just have that mindset, isn't it? Hopefully that'll help us, like you say, strip out the consumerist side of life and keep it simple.
So as promised, we're just going to show you a little update of what we've been up to this last week. This week we saw Molly having a horrendous time going to the vets. This has to be, without a doubt, the biggest pain when it comes to Molly. Every time it's time to take her to the vets, I have to go just hunting around the block for her, trying to find out where she is. Luckily, because we know we're moving her and we want to make sure we know where she is, we've recently put an air tag on her. So I can see on the map where was the place that she was last time that she connected with someone's Bluetooth. While I'm sat here in the car waiting for Molly to try and connect to my phone, I thought I would talk you through the process of getting her ready to travel with us as well. So she's having to have a rabies vaccine done. This is why I'm here, trying to catch her. To get that done is one of the requirements in order to travel to Europe with a cat. and she also needs a animal healthcare certificate. So she needs to have a rabies vaccine at least 21 days before she's due to travel, and she needs to have the certificate no more than 10 days before she travels. So it's all a bit of a juggling act, getting your dates correct. So if you're doing something like this, just make sure you check the date when you're traveling and count from that. I have asked, and I've checked online as well, how it works in regards to the rabies, and that vaccine lasts for 3 years. So you can actually get that done anytime. You don't need to wait till last minute like we did. I don't know why she's not had it before. I feel like it was never recommended to us by the vets. Do your own research. I believe it was the government website I saw all this information. At the weekend, we also got to say goodbye to Mary and Stephen's lovely home in St Michael. Them two are moving, unfortunately, just not to Portugal with us.
This was my childhood. This was the view from our back garden. Some people might think it's boring. I think it's absolutely idyllic. So thank you for sticking with us and watching this video. If you'd like to see how YouTube was influencing our massive life-changing decision, then watch this video here.
Thank you. Obrigada. Beijinhos.
Bye bye.